and there's an interesting, just because we're on this point. One of the things I'm absolutely fascinated by is the dynamics of social movements, right? Like Web3 was a form of revolution for our generation. It was a revolution that we could actively participate in without much blood being shed, right? It was a way to set a challenge across and a shot across the bow to systems where generations who are, Gen Z or millennials, etc., who felt that the economy is just not doing what it should do for our generations could start fighting back in a different way. So let's
Mm.
think of it in a second as a form of revolution. Now, let's compare it to other revolutions, say the French Revolution, right? In 1789, the French Revolution officially supposedly started, and that's because that was the year that the guillotine was cutting off people's heads, executions of the royalty were taking place, the storming of the Bastille, this grand explosion of agency suddenly fills through the streets of France, and people, individuals that were once sort of stuck under the structures of the old way, were suddenly given this liberation, this freedom. Um, and that, let's compare that to maybe, I don't know, 2017, 2018, right? And then that led to, or maybe even later, let's say 2020, let's say COVID, right? And then the market's shooting up. And what that led to was the sans culottes, literally in French, the trouserless, aka the degens of the French Revolution. These degenerate, trouserless, free people running around France with full freedom, capable of having their economic agency, their political agency, and suddenly, saying, wow, we suddenly have our own power, our self sovereignty. That
Mm.
led to a mess called the White Terror, where markets went completely to hell. Robespierre himself, the Sam Bankman-Fried at the time, had his head
Mm.
cut off. As once the leader, is now the enemy number one, and that led to this mass bloodshed that needed, as we're seeing at the moment, some re-centralization. Right, that's
Mm.
a period called the Directorate, and the Directorate was when, wow, all this chaos and all this self sovereignty and all this freedom is just a lot. How do we make life easier for ourselves? Let's re-centralize a bit and re-centralize power into a block of folks. Yes, the revolution happened. No, there is no more king for now, but we're re-centralizing things to make things happier. And what did that lead to? It was the perfect plateau for Napoleon, right?
Mm. Mm.
Stablecoins, CBDCs. And
Yeah.
that's where we are at right now. We're at this grand re-centralization where crypto is Napoleon entering into Europe, challenging Swift, challenging MasterCard, challenging Visa, making every big bank in the world turn around and say, okay, Napoleon's here, right? And it's going to change the world. And meanwhile, one has to ask, like in every revolution, well, I wonder what's happening to that sans culotte farmer who once had all the agency and is now, in a different world. So that's the dynamic of every single big mass movement that has happened. We're seeing it now. And so it's just one of those things where market participants, founders, leaders, etc., have to notice and navigate these things as relevant to the way they run their businesses, to the way they're going to navigate the next 12 to 18 months. And it takes folks who are interested not just in, the smart contract, but also the context of the smart contract
Yeah.
to be able to help provide that advice.
I think you touched upon, I mean, that was just very wonderfully put, all of that. It was almost like old tales, nursery rhymes, wrapped up into the financial ecosystem with a touch of historical
They're all
nature. I
stories.
love
Everything's a
amazing.
story. Everything's a
Yeah,
story.
no. So, I mean, if we actually think about it logically, and I love that comparison because if you do look back at in history, there are lots of patterns, and it does repeat itself in ways many times. So